Hello, everybody, and welcome into episode 88 of the Dorton and Duck Debate podcast. I am Lucas Dorton. Nick has a little bit of a different background today, folks. He is joining us from his vehicle in a quick trip in St. Peter,
Yeah.
Minnesota right now. So that is
Yes.
commitment to the show right there.
You
Just
bet.
finished eating a rib sandwich, and now he's gonna do
Got my
his part.
got my apple juice.
And
That's
so you
right.
get plenty of options if you're at a quick trip.
Yes.
And to our next guest, I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself, Jason. Jordan Brewers, talk to me a little bit about what all you do right now for the Brewers.
Yeah, so Jason Chalupsky, kind of the president of the Mini Met board right now, also field manager of the Jordan Brewers, kind of helps Scott, who's the main manager, manage the team during the game. He's still 48, so he's still trying to play and live his glory days, and he's doing a pretty damn good job at it at the age of 48. So I had field manager is kind of my duties once the game starts as the Jordan Brewers go, take over the decision making with him on the field doing other stuff. So,
all right, there we go. Yeah, well, obviously you guys have a lot of success in what you've been doing. You've been winning the RVL for how many years now? So kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Yeah, it's been a fun run. Let's put it that way. I've been here for 30 years and I've played with a lot of characters. So.
Absolutely. I'm sure you could probably go for days for some of the elite names and guys that you've been able to play with and coach throughout the years too. So that has to be.
Yeah, I don't know if we have enough time.
Yeah. That's a whole nother show in itself. A Mount Rushmore of Jordan Brewers. Nice. So yeah, I guess just kind of diving right into it. Some questions that I like to ask our guests when they first come on, just to get to know their love of baseball and kind of where they are with things. Minnesota Twins fan, I assume, for you, Jason.
Yeah. I love the Twins. I'm also a Braves fan, which is kind of weird. And that didn't really start until that tilt in '91 when they were getting a tangling together. And obviously the Twins won that, thank God. But I've always been a Braves fan since. So I kind of cheer for both.
A little bit of both. Your AL team, NL team. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong.
Braves got their butt kicked today.
They did.
Yeah, they're struggling. They got a lot of injuries going on right now.
Yeah, they're not. They are. The injury bugs hit them good.
Yep. Okay, so who is your all-time favorite Minnesota Twins player, Jason?
It is Kirby Puckett, without a doubt. Just the passion that he showed when he was playing and the leadership he had. It was just a fun guy to watch. You could get behind, and I mean, man, I to be honest, I couldn't name another player that had that excitement for the Twins since I've been watching them, and it was just fun watching them.
I love it. Now, who is your all-time favorite player who did not play for the Twins? They were maybe there at some point, but they're largely known for playing their career mainly somewhere else.
I would say Greg Maddux. Just being a Braves fan, Greg Maddux was just a magician on the mound. It was fun to watch. He was watching him throw 88 miles an hour, but painting corners like crazy. And I tell you what, that one game that he threw, I think it was a 71 pitch complete game shutout.
It's insane.
It's insane.
You'll never see that again. You'll never see that.
Nope.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then the last one, a newer one with Brett Kruschke adding it to the show here. Who is your favorite all-time just random Minnesota Twins player that maybe weren't really elite or good, but just someone that you really appreciated having on the team?
You're gonna laugh at this one, but Nick Puto.
Oh,
part of the Piranhas, as I think Ozzie Guillen would call them. So yeah, it was. He wasn't a great ball player, but he was a decent ball player, and he just was able to do all the small things. And if you have a guy like that on your ball club, even with amateur wise, it goes a long way, and it can help you win games.
I think it was literally like one or two podcasts ago. I was talking about how I was not a Nick Punto guy. I mean, I'll give him some credit. The dude was a very good defender, and he was a utility guy. He was very helpful. But
he wasn't going to wow you, Di. You
was
probably
never
looking for someone to wow you.
He won a World Series with Cardinals.
Yes, he did.
That's true. That's awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for shedding a little bit on your personal favorites. I always think it's a little bit interesting. Everyone's a little bit different with their guys. So
oh yeah, I can imagine.
That's pretty cool. Mainly Twins guys. Obviously, this is a Minnesota Townball show. You're gonna only have Twins players, but that's all right with me. It's okay.
We don't want to upset too many people.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yep. Awesome. So you mentioned 30 years with the Jordan Brewers. I assume some playing days in there at the beginning. So talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about when you first got into Townball. What was it like for you?
So 1994 was my first year, and I was 16 years old. Charlie Larka was the manager, and I tell you what, if you had never got to meet Charlie Larka, you missed out. He was a one of a kind. There'll never be another guy like him. You either loved him or you hated him. More people, I think, loved him. There was a few that really disliked him. But I tell you what, it was a pleasure. He was kind of a father figure to me as I was growing up through the baseball circuit and just through personal stuff as well when I was younger. So Charlie was definitely one of the big things for me when being a Jordan Brewer. I, playing with a lot of those guys, the old guys, the Ronnie Beckmans, the Johnny Beckmans, Dave Henches, Trent Shimmicks, Ryan Andersons. Those guys, I tell you what, those guys are just professionals all in all. And the one thing that they did well, just for me being a young kid when I was there and starting, they took us in, all us young kids, and really put their arms around us and kind of showed us the way of how to be a Jordan Brewer. And I'm sure you guys over the years playing us have kind of noticed the kind of way we run our dugout. It all started back then with those old guys, and we've carried that along for the time we've been here. So
You said 94.
Yep.
So you've won what, two state tournaments?
I've been on 3 state championship teams.
Three.
The 94 team I was on, but I wasn't on the playoff roster, so I didn't play, but I still consider myself part of that team.
Well, your first year, it was clear
Yeah.
you were clearly the reason.
Yeah, I was the piece right there.
Yeah, the missing piece. That's good. That's good. So coming in position wise, well, what did you start out playing?
So I was a left-handed pitcher. I did play a little outfield just to fill in when the old guys were gone. I do like to tell a story before I get into my pitching career, which is the main part of it. Tom Smith was a AAA ball player. I can't remember what team he was for, but he pitched for the Brewers back when I first started. And Tommy was one of those one of a kind characters. He'd show up he was really dang good too as a right-handed pitcher. He would show up to games about 5 minutes before game time, and he was a starting pitcher. So we'd always have one of us younger guys would have to be warming up in the bullpen just to make sure we had a starting pitcher in case Tommy didn't come in. But of course, as soon as we get done warming up, Tommy rolls in with his little duffel bag and with his little sandals on and comes in and I remember one time playing left field for the first time with Tommy Smith pitching. He hit a fly ball to me, and I had no problem playing the outfield. I got under that ball, and Tommy was known for getting on your case if you didn't catch a ball or if you made an error in the field, and he would turn around and mean mug you and stare you down. I remember catching that fly ball, and my knees were knocking. I'm like, I got to catch this ball. I don't want Tommy all over my case right now. I catch the ball, but Tommy noticed the knee knock, and he noticed the jitteriness out of me. So, and he was able to sense that. So, those are some of the moments that you learn from and you grow up with, and it makes you better. So, but my the main reason I was on the team, obviously, was a left-handed pitcher, and I started out my career a little wild. I did go play Division I baseball down at University of Northern Iowa. Was just getting into collecting my accuracy down, and then I blew my shoulder out my sophomore year, and unfortunately, that was the end of my college career. I ended up staying with the team, playing out the rest of the 3 years that I was there, and just hanging out with the team and trying to get it back. It just never came back. But I will say that it taught me a lot of lessons when I came back, and I was better for it after graduating and coming back and playing for the Brewers for the rest of the summers. Learned a lot of things and was able to hone in the accuracy and become a pretty darn good pitcher for a town team.
Absolutely. So how long then? I don't know. Do you still throw a little bit now, or are those pitching days behind you? Are you pretty much
those pitching days are behind me. It's in the mind, I probably want to, but the body and the shoulder, every time I try to go out and play catch, I can't move my arm for another week. And the pain that it gives me is just kind of, I'm okay. I'm okay right now where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I've mentioned it on the last couple episodes, but just because I think it's interesting, a lot of times you hear in sports you're welcome to the league moment, or like maybe the moment where you realize like Yeah, like this is something completely different than what I've ever been
Yep.
used to. Did you ever have that with Townball? And if so, talk about it a little bit.
So I can't go into real details, but I know the exact moment. I started a game. I think it was my junior year. So I was 17 years old, and we had pretty good rivalry with Delano and Maple Lake back in the days when we were Class B. And it was against Maple Lake, and I started that game, and I remember starting that game and got the first out, and the next guy hit a line drive that went sizzling by my head, and I didn't move. I didn't. It came back so hard, so fast. I didn't move. Next thing I know, Charlie, I look over and Charlie's coming out of the dugout. He gets up to me and he goes, "All right, you're just not ready yet." And he took me out of the game right after two batters into the game. And I took that, hey, you know better than I do. And you're right. I didn't move on that line drive and could have killed me. And so that was the moment I'm like, all right, this is real. This thing's real.
That could have been bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, you mentioned 8 years as the manager of the Jordan Brewers. So when did that transition happen from being a player and stepping over to the managerial side of it?
Yeah, so Charlie retired in 2006, and he had asked me if I was ready. He knew I was ready, but he asked me if I was willing to take it over, and I said, "Yep, I'm in that kind of prime time of my life. I just didn't have a kid yet who was literally born the first year that I took over. So it was in that prime of my life where I had the time to be able to do it. So I told him, "Yep, I'd take it over." So 2007, I took over, and we were going through a little bit of a transition period from a Brewer standpoint. Some of the older guys were ducking out, and some of the younger guys were coming in. So it definitely was a little bit more of a difficult time for the Brewers at that time. We still had pretty good players, but it was one of those things where we had to make a decision and understand, were we going to bring in some other players from out of town, or were we going to kind of concentrate on keeping Jordan locals here and making sure that they had a place to play. So we went through that transition, and we had some struggles. We had some struggles when I started through Class B. We made it to the state tournament in 2008, and ended up getting ousted by Meesville in that. I think it was Meesville. I believe it was Meesville in that first round in that Class B tournament, and then we didn't make another Class B tournament while I was the manager until we moved back down to Class C, for that main reason, as to sticking local and making sure that we had kids that from our high school joining our team and playing.
Yeah, that must have been I'm sure a tough decision to try and figure out, because there is benefits to both sides of it, right? Like there's a lot of pride of like, yeah, like just having the Jordan guys come in and do it, but then I'm sure you also get to a point to where you're like, I also enjoy winning ball games as well too,
Yeah.
with it. But so then when was then your last year then you mentioned as being the manager for the Brewers?
So 2014 was the last year. That was we hosted the state tournament. We lost to New Ulm in the semifinals, and that was at the time kind of right where my son was getting into third grade, getting into his sports. It was just beginning to be too much travel, do some coaching him in basketball, coaching him in baseball, and I kind of wanted to. After traveling around, as you guys know, in Townball, it can be a grind a little bit for the summer. A lot of it's all around what you're doing, and you want to make sure you're there for the team. So I decided, and Scott was all for it, that he was okay with taking over the team, and I would step back and still play, and obviously, but to get to hang out with my kid and coach him a little bit more and hang out with them and put my attention towards my boy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Probably a tough decision, but one that was definitely glad that you made. You know, be able to spend more time with your kid too is pretty amazing too, to be able to see him.
And it wasn't one of those things where I quit cold turkey. So I knew that I was still sticking around, but it was just, hey, I got to hand off some of this stuff I can't really do anymore, or put the time in to make sure that it's done right.
So what all goes into from being on the managerial side of things to trying to get some guys that aren't in Jordan to play for Jordan? Like, what are some of those conversations sometimes like? I mean, I'm sure a lot of times it's tough for guys to leave the places that they're at, and the whole mile radius, and all that too certainly plays a huge impact in that too. But how do some of those conversations go?
Well, so it's funny when people look at the Jordan Brewers, and we've been very, very fortunate with landing guys that are good ball players that either move into town or find a way to marry into town or do that, so to speak. A lot of people think that we're out recruiting guys on a constant basis. We don't recruit anybody. The funny thing is we take so many phone calls in the off season that people that want to come play for the Jordan Brewers that it's kind of insane, and we have to weed that out and try to tell them listen, if we can take you, but we're going to take a spot away from a local kid. That's not the way we want to do things. That's not the way we're working with things right now. And then obviously some of the stuff we fall into it with Brandon Arnold moving in or being in town and deciding not to play for Chan anymore and coaching at the school and being the varsity head coach now. And then his brother-in-law moving into town. So like I said, we've been very, very fortunate, and we're in a spot in the metro area where we're kind of lucky so to speak. So
Jordan's had a lot of good players come to high school recent years too. So.
I think we're losing you a little bit.
Yeah, we're losing. A Quick Trip doesn't have enough Wi-Fi over there.
What? You guys don't even have. Do you?
Oh. That's okay. We'll keep going. He'll figure it out eventually. So obviously, kind of like I mentioned at the top of the show, Jordan has been blessed to have a ton of success from a ton of great talent throughout the years. What has there kind of been like a passing of the torch amongst a lot of teams kind of have their guy, like the person like when everything maybe starts getting tough or we need someone to step up, make a play, or just drop some advice, they look to this guy. Throughout your time on Jordan, who has kind of always been that person, or has it kind of mainly been the same guy most of the time?
Well, being here 30 years, it's obviously transitioned from guys to other guys, getting, as the time has gone on. I'd say Ron Beckman back when I was younger was probably one of those guys. Johnny Beckman, as I got older, or as we've got into more of my middle career, Trent Shimmick was probably one of those guys. He was a mainstay, a pretty darn good ball player, catcher. And then, I would say now, Joe Lucas is kind of that vocal guy right now. Maybe a little too vocal, but he's when he speaks, the rest of the team listens. And they should, because he's a damn good ball player, and he all he wants to do is win. So,
yeah. And has the younger guys maybe coming up, do they get it right away? I mean, you kind of mentioned when you first came in, like you had all this veteran guys that took you guys under their wings. Is that still kind of the same today? The younger guys that are first getting into it, do they get what Jordan Brewers is, or is there kind of that adjustment period for them a little bit?
I would say I would take a step back and say, with the days of the way the kids think now, it's an adjustment period. They're coming in, and a lot of kids, and we all get it. All these kids want to play. They want to play baseball, and they want to do it right away. And that's just not, we've had very few kids that have come in and stepped in the Jordan Brewers and played from day one. Kyle Vidston, who is going to Western Kentucky to play Division I baseball here next year, did it, and we won a state championship in 2019 while he was starting catcher as a freshman in high school. So we try to not coddle the kids, but kind of work with them to make them understand, like, hey, listen, there's a lot of things you can do in a dugout to learn about what you can do to get better, or watch a little bit and learn from us to find out how we do things. And then, hey, once you're ready, we'll get you out there. And we don't want to not put you out there, but we want to make sure that you're ready for success when we do put you out there.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's a great way to look at it too. And you're entirely right. I think it is there are a lot of people that want to play right away, and there are opportunities for a lot of Townball teams for folks to do that for sure too. But no, that's cool to see. So you mentioned the Mini Met board for the last 3 years. So when did that happen for you? And I mean, obviously 3 years ago, but talk to me a little bit about what your duties all happened there with that. What all do you do?
Yes, well, so it started. Brent Gracke, who's the manager now over at St. Patrick, and the the last varsity coach for Jordan helped me before Brandon came in. He was kind of running everything here, and he wanted to step away. And he knew that, you know, I was here, and he kind of knew that I would be okay doing it and do a good job with it. So he handed that down to me. And then he kind of did his own thing and didn't have to worry about it. So that was an easy transition. So, you know, a lot of it has to do with mainly figuring out what we need to do to the field, what kind of upgrades we're going to do to the field, where do we get the money, how do we get the people to help the volunteers to take care of the field, and go from there. And then obviously if you don't have any money, you're not going to get anything done, and you're not going to be able to take care of your ballpark. So that's a big thing. And from our standpoint with the Jordan Brewers, we have big crowds. We do draw crowds here for games. So we have a little bit of a head start with more than other towns because we can rely on that concession money, that gate money with those people coming in, and use that money to keep putting into our ballpark. So there's a lot of different caveats when you take over a field, especially a field of this nature. And it takes an army to do it, and we're lucky to have an army behind us.
So how many times since you've been a part of Jordan, welcome back, Nick, by the way. How many times since you've been a part of Jordan, then have you guys hosted state then?
It's been, let's see here, I believe this will be the fourth time. So okay. 2004, 2014, 2018, we were the third site, and then this will be 2024 is the fourth time. Yep.
Okay. Now, what have you noticed from now? Sounds like then first time being on the mini Met board versus being a manager or somewhere else on the team. What all has changed? I could imagine quite a lot now that you're actually the host site that's hosting it.
There's a lot of work. Let's put it that way. There's, you know, you think about running a state tournament, and there's just so many other small details that nobody knows or understands unless you get into it and do it. It's not just about the field. There's so many more things that go into running a state tournament, and I didn't know anything about that until obviously I got into this and we started planning 2 years ago. And like I tell people around here, when we're working on the field and they're putting in their time and helping to volunteer, I go, you guys have no idea all the things I do in the background right now. So count your lucky stars. And if I need your help down here, please be down here to help, because it's going to make my life much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. What has maybe been some of those things that, and you know, again, could have a whole nother podcast on that, I'm sure as well too, but what have been kind of some of those things that folks maybe wouldn't realize at first without having to be pointed out or having to look real closely that you personally are proud of that you guys are able to do? And maybe not just at the Jordan site, but just with hosting these three regions or these three fields in general.
Oh God, that's a loaded question. I got to tell you, I wouldn't even go. I mean, obviously, we're very lucky from the standpoint of what kind of our field. It's so easy to come down to this ballpark because it's such a beautiful ballpark, and the nostalgia of that when you walk into this field it takes people back that have never been here before. But if I were to go and say what we're proud of, I'd say I'm proud of the town of Jordan, to be honest with you. Yeah. We have a wonderful backing of fans. The city has been fantastic for us, with us working together. But our fans are top notch. They're always supporting us, and they will continue to support us. And they're just always here to help as well. There's a ton of people that are fans that always ask and go, hey, is there anything I can help with down there? Or, hey, I do this on the side. If you need help doing something, just let me know. I can take care of that for you. So we've been very, very lucky to have that support. We've been able to get a lot of stuff done around this field for upgrade wise, just by donation of people just coming to help.
And that's got to be.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, I'm finally back. I don't know.
Here he is.
My phone just decided to like nosedive on me. I don't know what happened there, but you were just talking about the field. Sorry, I I just want to say, Jason, and I'm not saying this just because you're on here. You can ask anybody on the A's. I have long said Jordan is my favorite park to play at, and I absolutely love playing at that park. And I find it ironic that you have a giant grandstand that's quite nice, yet 85% of the fans just sit on the hill. Anyways,
yeah, you are. Hey, I appreciate it, Nick. You don't know how much that means to us over here, but you're right. It's funny. Even all the upgrades that we did down right field line, the fans still sit on the grassy area.
Yeah.
And you got a beautiful party deck to get a new view on, and nobody goes on it right now.
Yeah. But I do have to ask, how many balls do you guys lose in the creek every year? It's got to be ridiculous.
If we average it out, we probably go through 24 balls a game.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. Yep, it's an astronomical number, but like I said, it makes it easier because we have a ton of fans every home game. So we're generating the money to help take care of that. So and they're wonderful to us.
That's good. That's a great question. Yeah, that's something I always think about. Like 24 balls a game. That's crazy.
But let me tell you a story with the state high school. So we hosted the state high school, the consolation bracket this year. We flip flop with Chaska every year on 3A, and the state high school league came down and we started. They gave us 24 baseballs for 3 games.
Ooh,
yep. We're like, you got any more coming?
That'll get us through 2.5 games.
So then the first inning of that first game, first batter knocks 5 balls out into the creek, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Of course. First time hitting foul balls, we're gonna have to stop playing.
Oh, that's good. And maybe you don't know the answer to this one, and if not, that's totally okay. So what is something that you wish pre-planning, 2 years ago, before you even started planning for the board, that you wish you would have known then that you know now with state being next week?
Oh goodness, man, that's a tough one. Hi, I don't know if I have an answer for you on that. I can't come up with anything. I really don't. I mean, I've been around and talked to those board guys so much that it almost feels like that everything that we haven't really been thrown a curveball yet in my mind, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully that curveball isn't the rain that's been dumping on us all summer long. But I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for. But I guess I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I really
probably a good thing.
Back up. It is a good thing. 100%, it is a good thing.
Yeah.
You guys gonna get some food trucks in again or no?
We are gonna have one food truck.
Yeah, there we go.
It's Delia's. They're in Jordan. It's gonna be a Mexican food truck, and I do believe they're gonna be serving the margaritas out of that food truck as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So something a little different for everyone.
Yeah, I don't get to see that often. Have a margarita and watch a ball game. I'll take it though.
Nice.
That's good. No, that's cool. So now I remember when Brett was on the show, he was talking about the Townball brews, the Townball beers for the 3 different host sites. Talk to me a little bit behind that. Who was the brains behind that project, and how did that get into fruition to what it's at now? Because that, I think, is an unbelievable idea. That was awesome.
So I'm going to go back. I'm going to take a step back and go back in time. And I hopefully don't piss anybody off as I talk about this. But when we were going through that, the rigmarole of trying to bid for the 100th year, obviously we lost out to Delano, Dassel, and Litch, and they did a fantastic job last year. So we don't feel bad about losing out to them. But in our presentation, we did have that we wanted to bring out and and had a brewery already picked out to do a specialized beer and have labels around the ball fields.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
In our presentation. I know the one, so I always, when I first saw before the 100th, when Delano and Dassel threw out that they were having the 4 specialty beers, which I thought I'm like, that's a great idea. Who came up with that idea? I wonder who came up with that idea. So that's where it started, and their beer that they had last year was fantastic, and I was like, yep, we got to do it again. We have to. It's got to be a mainstay for every year. And we got a new local brewery that came in. So I frequent there a little bit. I'd say a little bit. I'm a big IPA guy.
Okay.
So I got into talks with them.
Park, ain't it?
What's that?
Pretty close to the park, ain't it?
Yeah, it's right downtown. Yeah, it's right. It's probably 2-block walk. Yeah, absolutely. So we got into talks, and I told them what my idea was, and they were all for it. They do can their own beer there. They don't have a big canning system, so one of their main concerns was, the time, and they didn't really have their system isn't as big as some of the other breweries that are out there. So, but they were up for the challenge, and they're happy, and they're happy they're doing it. I think they're doing a fantastic job with it. They are putting in a lot of time to can all those beers. We're going to have, I don't know if crew told you, we're going to have a limited amount of beer for each flavor. There's 4 different beers, and there's 30 cases of each of those. And then there might be one that they brew extra when everybody runs out. And I do believe we will run out by the second weekend, but we'll figure it out after that.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to have to buy 2 right away. One just to have like as a nostalgia, like I'm never opening these. Yeah. These are a cool background. And then, got to try it too. So I'll definitely have to get 2 of those. That's my
plan. They did a fantastic job on the labels. We gave them everything we wanted on there, and those labels turned out really, really awesome with the pictures of the ballpark on the cans.
Yes, no, that was I think that's a great idea. And I agree 1,000%. If that's something that each host sites are able to incorporate for the next, however long Townball lasts, hopefully it's forever. They keep that going. That would be pretty sweet. You
better save one case just so you can have that celebratory case.
That's true, Jason. You got to put one aside for you.
Well, we'll have plenty of other stuff we can choose from, but yeah, we'll definitely.
You can just go get some.
Definitely set something aside.
That's good. So what, next time when Jordan hosts again, right there's going to be another time here for that. What are some things what's that?
Too soon.
That's right. Couple years, right?
Yeah. If I'm still alive, we'll see.
Well, I hope you are. I hope you are. So we can have you on again in 2 years, chat about it again. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it's not ideal to be hosted again in 2 years with all the work that goes into it and all the volunteer work that goes into it. But we're happy. We're happy to join Shakopee and New Prague in 2026. A lot of the legwork that we've done this year, we won't have to do in 2 years. It'll just be mainly admin stuff and other stuff to take care of as we get ready for that one. But we're definitely excited to do it again in 2 years.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be awesome.
Shakopee does get a couple games this year, right? Or am I wrong in that?
Yeah, they're the 4th site, so they'll get the first weekend of all, I believe. And don't quote me, I can't remember what the schedule was last year, but I think they're all the AB game. And then there's some AB games sprinkled amongst our 3 sites for the first weekend as well.
Okay.
Gotcha. So pivoting away a little bit from state baseball, just to get back on the whole topic of Townball, which is amazing. Oftentimes, and I brought it up a couple times too, these last few shows, so definitely sound like a broken record, but everyone's answer is a little bit different, so I do like to ask it. A lot of times I have people come up to me asking me, when I tell them, oh, I play Townball. They're like, oh, is that like a slow pitch softball, beer league, Sunday 35 plus league, what is it? What is Townball? And I don't always have the best response. I've been getting some good responses from the guys that have come on the show the last few weeks or so. I'm sure that's a question that you have gotten throughout your 30 years of being part of Townball. So do you have kind of like a go-to thing that you usually tell people about what Townball is?
No, I don't really have that go-to thing. Most of the time I try to tell people that go, yeah, like you said, is it softball? Is it? And I say, no, this is serious. We are serious when we get to the ballpark. This isn't just your show up and roll something out and drinking beer in the dugout kind of deal. This is something that everybody takes to heart. It's something that everybody is. I call it the Townball family, because anybody that plays amateur baseball in the state of Minnesota is we're all family, and we all take it as serious, and we all look at it what we have here in the state of Minnesota that literally across the country nobody else has. Going to school in Iowa, I've played a couple times during the summer when I was down there before I came back home in their little summer league stuff. And I try to explain it to them, and it's hard to even explain it to them guys down there. Like, oh, wait a second. You have how many teams? And you do what? Well, we just show up and just play a game. You're that organized? I said, yeah, no, this what you guys are playing down here is garbage. So that's, as blatant as I can put it, but yeah, you're right. We're lucky. We're lucky for what we have, and even the following of fans that with Townball itself is incredible, and there's just no other words that really describe it unless. And sometimes I'll end the conversation when we have that conversation with those people that go, "What is it?" I said, "How about this? Here's the next game. Come to it. You'll find out real quick at that point in time."
Yeah. And not only so much, how it means to you guys as players, but to the fans, to the members of those towns that are coming to watch too. They care about it and are just as passionate as the players are. And then that makes you guys want to kind of bust your butt even harder and do even more, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think everybody, especially with the way the twins are going and the prices and the amount of money that they charge for you just to go to a Twins game now, it's nice to have a Townball team in town, and you get in for cheap. You go get a beer for $3 or $4, and you get a dog for a couple bucks, and all of a sudden you're leaving there after watching a game and you spent $10. Yeah. So you just had a little bit of entertainment for the family for one night. So.
And if you actually want to do a 999 challenge, you're not going to break the bank doing it either, right?
It's been done before.
That's good. That's awesome. No, I think that's great. You get guys that maybe got a crack at professional baseball, playing with folks who work in an office from 9 to 5 all day, and you all share the same ball field together. So I think that's just a pretty awesome thing to see. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I guess, to kind of get back to that topic of Jordan Brewers themselves, the success that you guys have had, throughout the years. And you mentioned a couple of the things too, but, if there was like a go-to, like 5 things or just a few things that really can make a successful program. Obviously, talent is huge, right? I mean, you need to have talent, but there's also a lot of kind of the intangibles and the things that people don't think about when, trying to have success. I think attitude is definitely a big part of it for sure. But what are some of those other things that if you're, maybe talking to a beginning Townball team or a team that hasn't had much success, what are some things that you like to tell them? Or that you would tell them?
Well, I number one is you got to have the young kids. If you don't have any young kids, the old guys can play. They can play for a few years, but if you want to sustain being good for years and years and years, you got to have those young kids coming up from a program, from either the high school, the Legion, from your traveling association. So that's got to be built in there, and there's got to be buy-in. If you don't have buy-in, we've run into so many teams and over the years that we're playing, and they're like, how do you guys get 20 guys here every single game? And I can barely get 9 here to make sure we play this game. And it's commitment. I mean, if you don't have the commitment to be there during the summer, that's one that's going to derail you really quick, and you're never going to be successful, especially during the playoffs. And there's plenty of that goes on. I mean, I get it. People have weddings, but everybody knows once you start a summer that, hey, this is the end goal, is to get to the state tournament and then ultimately win a state championship. Let's look at those weekends and let's not schedule anything over those weekends. I mean, there's a lot of teams that end up falling because of that. Yeah. So commitment, your youth, the young kids coming up, And then, the one big thing that we've done over the years since I've been on this team is a dugout. And a dugout can be a structured thing. But when I'm saying dugout, it's how you handle things in the dugout, how you communicate in the dugout, how you as players make sure that the message is being relayed at the same time. And it starts with leadership in doing that. And then it trickles on down to make sure that the guys understand that this is how we handle ourselves in the dugout. This is how we handle ourselves during games in the dugout. That's one big thing that I see a lot of teams falter on, because they just can't all be on the same page, and they just can't all understand each other and which direction they're going.
Got to be nice too, having the success that you guys have had, and then when you do have those younger guys can see like, hey, this is a team year in and year out. We are very clear and obvious what our goals are. Here we have done it. We have done it recently. So yeah, we know what we're talking about and we know what we're doing. And so that passing of the torch, I'm sure, becomes a lot easier throughout the years when you get that buy-in.
Hey, we all know that winning solves a lot of things.
Yep.
So
with the trophies behind you too, proudly displayed.
Those are the championship trophies behind me. So, and there's plenty of other stuff back there as well. So,
one of these days, Arlington will be right up there with you.
Yeah, hey man, you guys, I enjoy watching you guys. The one thing I do love about watching playing Arlington when you guys play hard. And you're always going to give everything, no matter what the portion of the game is at, whether you're up, down. You guys are going to play hard.
They forget about state. I'm just trying to beat you guys once.
Now that we had you on, give us a cookie next year, Jason. No, it wouldn't feel as good. It's good. It's good. Nice, man. I mean, this has been great. I guess, as far as state tournament goes, what are some other things with that maybe we didn't bring up that you think would be worth mentioning, and for folks to know if they're coming to watch it, maybe not just Jordan's site, but any of the other sites before they get there at the weekends?
Well, everything is centered around the ballpark during the state tournament. And obviously we sell food. We're going to have food and stuff like that and beverages at the ballpark. What I would suggest to people, either whether it's Jordan, Shakopee, Belle Plaine, Green Isle, if you're in town and you're at the ballpark and you're leaving that game or the ballpark after watching one, go visit some of the local establishments. Check out the town itself. If you're there, you might as well just see what else is around. We here in Jordan, we pride ourselves in what we have here, and we feel like this park brings people into this town. Well, we want to repay that back to some of the businesses that have helped us with this big undertaking of upgrades here at the Mini Met. So all I would say is, after you're done watching a ball game and you're leaving the park, stop at a local establishment, grab a beer, get a burger, have a pizza, and just visit those guys.
What are some of Jason's go-to establishments in Jordan that he might want to go to on a random Saturday for some folks?
Oh boy.
The brewery.
So, I tell you what, Clancy's Pizza Parlor.
I was just going to ask you if Clancy's is open. My grandpa used to live in Jordan. I've been to Clancy's many, many times. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah. Their pizza's great. Their burgers. It's an older establishment, but they've been around a long time, family owned. Rory and oh man, he's gonna kill me if I can't remember his name. Oh goodness, we'll get it.
Maybe he won't watch this episode.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, and Jake would appreciate the business coming there. New bar in town it used to be Moolah's, and they were bought by couple from St. Paul, Donovan and Gina. It's called Frankie's Wonder Bar. Great little bar establishment. They also have fantastic pizza. They're right downtown, so don't miss them. Obviously, Brudetat with having the beer. We're going to have the 4 beers at the tournament, but they got plenty of other beer there that they do well with. So definitely hit them up before you leave town. And then, there's the Pickled Pig and Lindsay's, and then Birdie's. Birdie's is a golf simulator, so if people get bored watching a ball game, bring your clubs down and go in, and you can hit some golf balls there and eat some food at Birdie's in Jordan as well.
You don't want to see me swing a golf.
Me either. Me
Well,
either.
it could be comical. I don't know. Simulator, you might be better.
That's
Nick,
true.
might be better.
Maybe that'll get us a lot of views. Have Dorton and Doetkott trying to first one to get a hole in one or something between the two. Never end. That never end.
That video would never end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and there is a wine place in town as well. So if I know there's a lot of ladies out there that would prefer wine, so we do have a wine place downtown as well.
Awesome. Sweet, Jason. Well, I've about run out of things on our end to ask about, to talk about. Is there anything on your end that you want to plug, that you want to mention, talk about as we keep going here?
The only thing I want to plug is just I want to, if as this gets broadcasted out, I want to thank all the businesses around town, around the area that have put money into or donated money to us during this big project over the last 2 years to really revamp the mini met as a whole. So we do really, really appreciate it, and we wouldn't be here without those guys. And then also the volunteers that have helped with putting together this to get ready for the state tournament. Like I said, we wouldn't be able to do this if we didn't have an army behind us, and we have an army behind us. And I want to thank all those volunteers that are helping with making this happen.
Absolutely. And again, could probably have a whole nother podcast of all of those different vendors, all those different folks that are helping out, volunteering too. So
yes,
but yes, 100%. It's you got a few guys, you and crew and some other folks that are doing a lot of it, but you guys wouldn't be able to do it without the folks that help you too. So that's a cool plan.
Yeah. And Belle Plaine, Green Isle, and Shakopee have all been wonderful to work with. So it's been a fantastic process.
Awesome. That's good. Sweet. Well, thanks, Jason, for coming on. As for Nick and I mean, we had a great time chatting with you. Nick, in and out a little bit. I got to enjoy
I'm sorry for my phone just decided to blow up.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta get a new phone.
Yeah, apparently it's nope. Quick trip parking lot, not for me. But at least I got reconnected. But yeah, sorry about the technical difficulty.
You're good. It's all right. But anyways, Jason, I mean, again, thank you so much for coming on. We certainly appreciate it. And anytime you want to come on, chat some Townball, hopefully it's earlier than 2 years from now when Jordan hosts again. That would be fantastic. But you certainly have an open invite whenever you'd want to come back and chat.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate you guys inviting me on. It's been fantastic talking with you, and I hope to see you guys at the ball yard here for the state tournament.
Absolutely.
Well, we should see you. We should see you this weekend. So.
Oh yeah. How's the field looking anyway? Right. Let's not stop here. How's it looking for the Saturday?
It's looking good. I know.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it, to be honest with you. I know Gaylor did some good stuff. They look good. So I can't wait to see it. I'm going to come out early. We play at 7, but I'm going to be there early to watch the other 3 games. So hopefully we'll see you guys there.
No, it's looking good. And for any A's players watching, I will not take any credit. I'm aware I have not been there lately, but the Dose boys, Nathan, all sorts of people, they've put in a lot of field work lately. They've done a lot of edging. Yep. So they got it tip top and ready to go.
Fantastic. Can't wait to see it.
Absolutely. And get a curtsy burger when you're there too.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So good.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, anyways, folks, that's all that we have for episode 88. As for Nick, Jason, and myself, certainly, like Jason mentioned, go check out any Townball game, but state tournament, folks, these next few weekends, whether you're in Jordan, Green Isle, Belle Plaine, Shakopee, or just make the distance. It's going to be an unbelievable time. But as for the 3 of us, folks, until next time, we are out.